Alright, so this is, I know that someone's going to hear this video, whether I publish it or not, which is really kind of upsetting, actually. I mean, to say I'm getting used to it, I'm getting used to having my privacy invaded all the time, is not the same thing as saying it's alright. It really isn't. You know, but what can you do? There's nothing I can do about it. There's absolutely nothing I can do about it, right? There isn't. Alright, so, I mean, it's just the abuse to me and the invasions of my life, you know, the abuse of my rights, they've just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse, you know, over the past few years. It's just amazing, you know, everything that's happened and how people just assume that they can treat me like this. You know, it just never stops. Anyway, I have, like, I don't know, a few minutes to talk about something. I don't really, it's a number of things I was thinking about. I was thinking it's a few things, right? So, anyway, gossip is really kind of a horrible thing, right? It really is, and it was interesting how many, it's been interesting to see how many people have felt just totally justified, just kind of like talking about like publishing these articles and everything about whether or not, you know, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner are going to get a divorce. I mean, the stuff that they were seeing, the stuff that people have been publishing, things from like, you know, things from 12 years ago, 13 years ago, something like that. 12 years ago, you know, a woman that he supposedly like had a sexual experience with, you know, feeling as if whatever she had to say more than a decade ago was somehow relevant to his life at this time. Right? And then, I mean, it's just, and then like talking about stuff that happened like a year ago that was just totally speculative, and then presenting it, like actually presenting the title of it as something that was happening at this time. I mean, really vicious. You know, what is it you want to see? You want to see the disillusion of a marriage that's been around for almost 10 years, in which there are 3 children, you know, out in front of the whole world, and you're just waiting to see what happens when you like place a bet. So there's that, and some parts of it, I found a way to think. So some of it is kind of thought-provoking, and some of it I thought of a joke, which I didn't know if I should tell. But I'll get to that in a minute. But like this woman, he supposedly had this sexual experience with, like, what was it? I don't know. She was I guess she was a stripper at the time, right? She said this thing. She said, what'd she say? She said, I'm quoting her. I positioned myself in the bed right next to him, or right by him, or whatever, and then, right? And then he started to touch me, and then he started giving me oral sex, and it wasn't and I love this part. She goes, it wasn't the greatest I've ever had, right? She goes, it wasn't the greatest I've ever had, but it was Ben Affleck! Exclamation point. And I will tell you, alright, I think I had a number of thoughts about that. Oh, LVR. Yes, your retro. I just want you to go there. Anyway. Yeah, I had a number of thoughts about that. One was like a joke. Immediately I kind of found a joke, actually. Maybe a couple days later, but yeah, I found a joke. I was like, yeah, you know, well, maybe he just wasn't that into you. Which shows that I have a sense of humor, right? I mean, I don't scream and yell about the conglomerate's behavior because I have no humor, like no sense of humor about sex, right? Or because I could never, like I have just these virgin ears, or like a totally like prissy sensibility, and I'm never capable of making a joke about sex or appreciating a joke about sex, or it's the insistence on making it part of everything that's happening all the time that is really objectionable, right? And then the forcing of very degrading behavior, things that people say about me, things that people insist that I put up with, you know, weaving sex and sexual comments into like daily conversation and casual conversation, professional conversation, you know, just, I mean, references all the time and things that have nothing to do with sex and really should not be about sex at all. And define, really, truly, again, the thought of defining people according to a particular sexual category that has nothing to do with who they are, what they're doing, or any of that stuff. That's really where my objections have been about this, and also the victimization the conglomerate it's not just about, you know, how much more out in the open can sex really be? You can't avoid it. There's nowhere you can go to avoid it anymore. I mean, it's all over the internet, everywhere, all the time. You know, there's, you know, I never really had like really expensive cable channels, that kind of thing. You know, like HBO. I don't think my parents ever really got HBO. That was the last time I actually was somewhere that. No, I mean, like various places always have lots of like, you know, sort of like standard cable like options or whatever it is. So there's a lot more television channels than there used to be, and I don't really. I'm gonna have to go soon. I can't talk for much longer because I have to do a lot of information here. But anyway, there's all these you know, so many channels on TV, and of course they show just sex on TV. You know, I mean, I guess X-rated channels are available on TV, but even stuff that isn't X-rated is so close to being just totally explicit. You know, I mean, it's just, you can't, you know, you really think we need to have just sex kind of everywhere and breaking through all the boundaries of regular everyday life? Because I don't really think so. And then the other thing I started thinking about, first I was like, yeah, I really shouldn't tell that joke. That's not really an appropriate joke. But I was like, well, I'll explain it by saying, like, it's not like I can't like think of a funny sexual joke or appreciate a funny sexual joke or any of that. It's just having it around all the time and having people force it on you all the time, you know, no matter what's going on. And very specifically, it's very degrading towards women, and it's very dangerous towards women and children. That's the way the conglomerate has been doing things, and that's not all right, you know. Also, this is not a professional setting, or like a formal setting, or like a particular type of personal setting in which, you know, I really have to worry about making a joke like that. And it's one joke, right? So there's that. And then there's also, I thought of this also today too. I was like, yeah, except, you know, too, that guys in his industry are not really supposed to be good at oral sex for women, right? It's kind of like a mark of shame if you are, right? I mean, it's like, what do you actually like girls? You actually, you know what I mean? I think that actually has something to do with it too, you know. But the thing is, I think most things are better with people that you know and really like, you know. I mean, and I, you know, I suppose, yeah, there's so much sex everywhere all the time now, and so much porn on the internet and all that stuff, that people, I suppose, can spend hours a day studying various types of techniques for various types of things, right? And I honestly was shocked like a couple of years ago when I actually saw that there was porn on the internet, because I didn't even really know, right? And I don't know how long it's been that it's been turning into something that just is almost just mainstream for people who are probably adults at this point, even just young adults like in their 20s and that kind of thing. It's probably just been normal for them to have that be part of like their sexual life to a certain extent, which is, I don't, you know, it's kind of sad. But and I don't really know. This is not. I wasn't meaning to like talk about like porn on the internet. But I think regardless, it, you know, it really eventually just does actually, what really matters is the person that you're with, the relationship that you have with them. I mean, it's tough to talk about anything with anybody if you're not getting along with them, or if you don't respect them, or if you're not even just like polite to them just on a real basic level that you would be even polite with a total stranger. You know, think about how difficult it can be between people who are like driving in cars, and you have to negotiate some kind of transaction with some total stranger that you've never even seen before, and there you are both in your cars, or like walking down the street, there could even be an issue there. You know what I mean? Everything I think is much easier to talk about and deal with if you have like a relationship with the person that you're with, you know, and a good relationship with them, you know, and can talk to them, and you trust them and that kind of thing, you know. And I think privacy is important for that.